Today's Bible story is the story of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego and the fiery furnace. What's that, Francis John? You're going to get into trouble? Oh dear, what's happened? You were playing a game with your ball and it went too high and it smashed a window. Oh dear. You don't really want to tell the person that you've broken the window, but you know it would be wrong not to, even though you will get into trouble if you own up. Oh dear. You know, Francis John, I'm very proud of you because it's hard to do the right thing, especially when you know you might get into trouble. Well, today we hear how brave Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego were when they knew what would happen to them if they didn't worship the gold statue that Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Are you ready for our story today? The story of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego and the fiery furnace.
King Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had a huge gold statue made, which he had set up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar gave orders for all the important people in the province of Babylon to come together for the dedication of the statue. When all the people had gathered, a herald announced, "As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, you are to bow down and worship the gold statue. Anyone who does not bow down and worship will immediately be thrown into a fiery furnace." As soon as everyone heard the sound of the trumpets, they bowed down and worshipped the gold statue. Everyone but Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego were Jews. They worshipped God and they knew it would be wrong to worship a statue. Some of the Babylonians went to King Nebuchadnezzar. "May your majesty live forever," they said. "Your majesty has issued an order that as soon as the trumpets sound, everyone is to bow down and worship the gold statue, and that anyone who does not bow down and worship it is to be thrown into the blazing furnace. There are some Jews whom you put in charge of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, who are disobeying your majesty's orders. They do not worship your God or bow down to the statue you set up." King Nebuchadnezzar became very angry and ordered Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego to be brought before him. He said to them, "Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, is it true that you refuse to bow down and worship the gold statue I have set up? Now then, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpets, bow down and worship the statue. If you do not, you will immediately be thrown into a fiery furnace. Do you think there is any God who can save you?" Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego answered, "Your Majesty, we will not try to defend ourselves. If the God whom we serve is able to save us from the blazing furnace and from your power, then God will. But even if God doesn't, your Majesty, may be sure that we will not worship a false god and bow down to the gold statue that you have set up." Then King Nebuchadnezzar lost his temper. He ordered the furnace to be heated 7 times hotter than usual, and he commanded that Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego be tied up and thrown into the fiery furnace. Now, because King Nebuchadnezzar had given orders for the furnace to be made so hot, the flames burned the guards who took the men to the furnace. Then Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, still tied up, fell into the heart of the blazing fire. Suddenly King Nebuchadnezzar leapt to his feet. He asked his officials, "Didn't we tie up 3 men and throw them into the blazing furnace?" They answered, "Yes, we did, your Majesty." "Then why do I see 4 men walking around in the fire?" King Nebuchadnezzar asked. "They are not tied up, and they show no sign of being hurt, and the 4th one looks like an angel." So King Nebuchadnezzar went to the door of the fiery furnace and called out, "Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, "Servants of the supreme God, come out!" And they came out at once. All the important people of Babylon gathered around to look at Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, who had not been harmed by the fire. Their hair was not singed, their clothes were not burned, and there was no smell of smoke on them. King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego. He sent his angel and rescued these men who serve and trust him. They disobeyed my orders and risked their lives rather than bow down and worship any god except their own. And now I command that if anyone says anything bad of the God of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, they will die, for there is no other God who can rescue like this." And King Nebuchadnezzar promoted Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego to higher positions in his court.
In our Bible story today, we heard how Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego trusted God even though they knew they might die in the fiery furnace. God didn't stop the flames, but came and stood with them in the furnace and stopped them being hurt. King Nebuchadnezzar was so amazed that he set Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego free and told everyone how important their God was. I wonder, what helps you to be brave? You may like to close your eyes and think about that now. I'm going to say a prayer, and if you want to make it your prayer too, please say amen at the end, after me. Dear God, Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego put their trust in you, and you helped them to be brave. Please help me to be brave and do the right thing, even though it may be difficult. Amen. What's that, Francis John? You were going to say sorry and pay for the window out of your honey money. Ah, that sounds like a good thing. It will be scary, but will I go with you and hold your paw? Of course I will. Well, thank you for joining us today for the story of Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego and the fiery furnace. We look forward to you joining us again soon. Goodbye and God bless.